Chapter 4. The Director's First Steps. Morning light and the drive to the port. The first rays of sun painted the penthouse windows gold as Vinny Santos stood on the balcony, wooden elephant warm in his palm. Below, the port of Santos stirred, cranes swinging like slow giants, ships low in the water heavy with cargo. He slipped the talisman into his pocket, showered, and dressed in the closet's fresh clothes. Charcoal slacks, crisp white button-down, no tie. Simple, but sharp. At 7:29, the black Audi Q5 purred up to the gated entrance. Paula leaned against the hood in slim dark jeans and a linen blouse the color of café come late, hair still wild from the humidity, gold earrings catching the light. "Bom dia, Director," she called, voice warm with that faint American lilt under the Portuguese rhythm. "Ready to earn that penthouse?" Vinny slid into the passenger seat. The car smelled of fresh coffee and her coconut shampoo. He let out a slow breath, the kind he hadn't been able to take in New York without looking over his shoulder. "How was your night?" Paula asked, glancing over as she pulled away from the curb. "Best sleep I've had in years," Vinny said, voice still rough with mourning. "No sirens? No wondering if tonight's the night Dante's guys finally kick the door in. I woke up, quiet, like the weight's gone. For the first time I didn't check the peephole before I opened the balcony door, didn't scan the street for black SUVs. I just stood there with the ocean air hitting my face and thought, damn, I'm free. No debts, no looking over my shoulder every 5 seconds. Feels like I'm a different person." Paula smiled, soft and knowing, as she merged into the morning traffic flowing down toward the port. "You are a different person, Vinny, but you're not some brand new stranger. You're the real you now, the one you were born as, the person whose name is actually on your birth certificate. Not some made-up Jake they stamped on you in the Estados Unidos to hide you. You are Vinny Santos, born right here in Santos on All Saints' Day, blood of the family that built this port from the mud, a director in the Santos organization. You are home." She let the words settle between them, the engine humming low. Vinny felt something loosen in his chest he hadn't even known was still knotted. They stopped at the little beachside podaria they'd passed last night, the one with the blue awning and the smell of fresh bread rolling out like a welcome. Paula killed the engine and hopped out before he could move. "Family rule. First week's on me," she said over her shoulder, already ordering 2 orders of cheese bread, plus 2 small cups of strong black coffee. She came back balancing the paper bag and cups, handed him one, and slid back behind the wheel. "Eat while it's hot. You'll need the fuel. Today's going to be long, and Antonio doesn't do slow introductions." Vinny took a bite, the warm bread and salty cheese hitting just right. He looked at her sideways as she pulled back into traffic. "You really believe all that? That I'm this guy now? Not just some gringo hiding out?" Paula laughed lightly, but her eyes were serious when they met his for a second at the red light. "I don't believe it. I know it. I saw your face last night on the balcony when Pi told you the truth. You didn't look scared. You looked relieved. Like something finally clicked into place. That's not hiding, Vinny. That's coming home." She reached over and squeezed his forearm once, quick and warm, before putting both hands back on the wheel. "Now finish that coffee. We've got manifests waiting, and I still need to fix that gringo obrigado before we walk into the office." Vinny grinned, the last of the New York tension melting under the Brazilian morning sun. "Obrigado," he said again, softer, slower, exactly the way she'd taught him. Paula's smile widened. There he is, Vinny Santos. Let's go to work. Shadows and ledgers at the port office. Antonio waited in the corner office overlooking the main terminal. Glass walls, maps of shipping lanes glowing on screens, the low hum of forklifts below. He clapped Vinny on the shoulder. "Welcome to the real table, Irmão. Today we start with the clean side. For 3 straight hours, Vinny sat between father and daughter. Antonio walked him through container manifests, customs declarations, the color-coded system that flagged special shipments. Paula leaned in close, pointing at spreadsheets on her laptop, her arm brushing his. See this one? Brazilian beef to Miami. Legit invoice, legit taxes. The next one, same containers, different manifest. That's how we starve the cartels. Reroute their poison before it ever leaves the dock. So now, you go have lunch with Paula. She will introduce you to some of our business owners. You have to show your face, Vinny. That is very important here in Brazil. People want to feel like we care, and we do care, Vinny. Go meet your new family. Vinny's head spun with numbers, alliances, the quiet power of knowing which federales would look the other way, and which ones owed the Santos family favors. By noon, his notebook was full, and his respect for the operation deeper than he'd imagined. Afternoon with Paula, business and something more. The next 2 hours were a warm, sun-drenched blur of stops all along the Canal District and the lower favela edge. Paula drove the black Audi with easy confidence, windows down, reggaeton humming low on the radio. At each place, she introduced him the same way. This is Vinny Santos, Joao's son, the new director. First stop was a small podaria, owned by Doña Maria, a round woman in a flour-dusted apron who hugged Vinny like he was her long-lost nephew. Look at you. Same eyes as your father. You want pão de queijo fresh? On the house for family. They stood at the counter chatting about the price of flour, the new streetlights the Santos crew had paid for, and how her grandson was now playing football for the local club, thanks to the scholarship fund. Next was a barber shop, where 3 old men were playing dominoes under the fan. The owner, Sudzi, shook Vinny's hand so hard it almost hurt. Santos blood back on these streets? Good. Last month some punks tried to shake me down. I told them, wait till the family hears. They ran like rats. Small talk flowed easy. Soccer, the heat, the new funk song everyone was dancing to. Vinny laughed when one of the old men tried to teach him a quick domino move. Then a little grocery that supplied half the favelas, a moto repair shop run by a cousin, a woman selling brigadeiros, tasty chocolate treats, from a tray on the corner who insisted on feeding Vinny 3 chocolates for strength. Everywhere the reaction was the same. Wide eyes, warm smiles, and a quiet nod of recognition. The Santos name still meant something here. By now the sun was high and hot. Paula pulled up in front of a modest churrascaria, a Brazilian-style BBQ, right on the edge of the canal. Green awning, the smell of grilling meat already drifting out. This one's special, she said. Our flagship. Time for actual lunch. Inside, the place was simple but spotless. Red checkered tablecloths, ceiling fans spinning lazily, a long charcoal grill visible through the open kitchen pass. Paula waved at the man behind the counter. Chef Roberto, come meet someone. Chef Roberto was in his late 40s, thick arms covered in old burned scars, white apron stained with grease. He wiped his hands on a towel and sized Vinny up with a half-irritated, half-curious look. New director, eh? Joao's boy. Sit. I'll bring you the best picana we have. Paula grinned. Roberto. Vinny is a chef himself. He had his own restaurant back in Nova York. Maybe he can show you a thing or two. Roberto's eyebrows shot up. In thick, broken English he said, You cook the food? Real food? Then let me see how you make the picana. Vinny laughed, already rolling up his sleeves. Sure. Show me the meat. Roberto disappeared into the walk-in and came back, holding a big, rounded rump roast, clearly trying to trick the gringo. Here, make picana. Vinny looked at it, tilted his head, and grinned. You need me to show you the picana, because this is what we call a roast beef back home. Roberto barked a laugh and tossed the real cut onto the board. A perfect triangular piece of top sirloin cap, maybe 2 kilos, with a thick, creamy white fat cap on top. Okay, gringo, surprise me. Vinny picked up the long, sharp knife like it was an old friend. He started at the edges, trimming the loose fat cleanly, then turned the piece fat side up. Roberto's eyes narrowed when Vinny reached for the thick, uneven fat cap. Now, you leave. Calma, Vinny said smoothly in Portuguese. O gringo sabe tudo. He shaved the cap with quick, confident strokes until it was an even, beautiful half-inch layer, thick enough to render and baste the meat, but not so thick it would steam instead of crisp. Roberto tried to interrupt again. May you? Calma, Vinny repeated, flipping the picanha over. With 2 precise slices, he peeled away the silver skin on the bottom, leaving the meat perfectly clean and ready. He held it up. Fat cap has to be even and not too thick, or it burns on the outside and stays raw inside. Now, sal grasso? And where's your grill? The whole kitchen had gone quiet. Paula stood with her arms crossed, pure pride glowing on her face. Roberto stared for a second, then threw his head back and roared with laughter. He slapped Vinny hard on the shoulder and said in his broken English, You can take boy out of Brazil, but you can't take Brazil out of boy. Where you learned this? Vinny shrugged, smiling. My mother. Every Sunday she made me help her trim meat while I learned Portuguese. Chef said back to Vinny, Well, you learned the picanha very good, but Portuguese, not so much. They all laughed as Chef Roberto returned to the kitchen. Paula stepped closer, voice soft just for him. See? You belong here more than you know. Roberto was already shouting orders to his line cook for the grill. Sal grasso, heavy, and get the farofa ready. This director is eating with us today. They sat at the best table by the window overlooking the water. While the picanha sizzled outside, fat rendering and crackling, Paula and Vinny talked quietly about the businesses they'd visited, about how the Santos organization helped every new owner with permits, health inspections, even startup loans. They become part of the family, Paula explained. We don't charge protection. We give it. That's the difference. When the picanha arrived, sliced thin, pink in the middle, edges charred and salty, Vinny took the first bite and closed his eyes. Perfect. Roberto came out wiping his hands, grinning. Next time you cook for the whole house, director. Deal? Deal, Vinny said. Under the table, Paula's hand found his and squeezed once. The afternoon sun poured through the window. The port hummed in the distance, and for the first time Vinny Santos wasn't just surviving. He was home, and he was hungry for everything that came next. Business and something more. By the time they left the churrascaria, the sun had already slipped behind the hills, turning the sky a deep orange that bled into purple. Paula slid behind the wheel again, the black Audi's engine purring to life. Atmosphere training, she said with a wink. You need to feel the favela at night. The real rhythm, not just the tourist version. She pulled out and headed up into the twisting streets. Vinny noticed it immediately. Paula never fully stopped. At every stop sign, every red light, she slowed just enough to scan left, right, ahead, then rolled straight through. The car never actually came to a halt. Even on the wider avenues near the canal, she did the same, eyes constantly moving. Vinny shifted in his seat. You don't stop for lights? Paula gave a short laugh, but her voice was serious. Not after dark. Not here. People get robbed the second they stop, especially in nice cars like this one. Windows smashed, phones and wallets gone before you can blink. It happens fast. We're working on cleaning it up. More lights, more community patrols, jobs through the Santos programs. But you can't stop starving. Desperate people overnight. It's hard. Even on the principal roads you have to pay attention, Vinny. Especially on these back roads. She downshifted smoothly as they climbed a steep alley, funk bass thumping from open doorways, kids still kicking soccer balls under the weak yellow streetlights. Laundry flapped overhead like ghosts. "Brazil is amazing," she continued, glancing at him. "The most beautiful place on earth. But it can be dangerous. Your name, Santos, will get you far here. It will keep you safe, but only from the people who know who you are. These street gangs, they don't know you yet. To them, you're just a rich guy in a nice car, a target. We're all targets, even the police sometimes, especially the police. We have a deal with the honest ones, but the crooked ones, you still have to be careful. Always pay attention. Always." Vinny nodded slowly, watching the shadows slide past the windows. "Got it. Eyes open. No full stops after dark." "Exactly." Paula reached over and gave his knee a quick, reassuring squeeze. "You'll learn the rhythm. You already move like you belong here." She parked near a small churrascaria halfway up the slope. Nothing fancy, just plastic tables and chairs under strings of bare bulbs, run by one of Antonio's cousins. The smell of charcoal and grilling meat drifted out to meet them. They chose a table at the edge where they could see the port lights twinkling far below. Skewers of picanha, linguica, and chicken hearts hit the grill with a satisfying sizzle. Paula ordered a Brahma beer and turned to Vinny with a playful grin. "So, I don't get a beer?" Vinny asked, confused. Just then, a large ice bucket with a large monster bottle of Brahma in the center, and 2 small glasses arrive. "So, Vinny, in Brazil, we do many family-style meals. Not like in the US where everyone orders something different. Here we get a family plate, and all share the same thing. Same for the beer. 1 big bottle, a small glasses so the beer does not get warm in the glass, and we share." Paula fills both glasses, raises hers. "To nossa família." They clinked bottles. As the night deepened around them, Paula talked about the favela schools the family had built, how the kids were finally getting books and uniforms, how she wanted to open a free kitchen next year. Her eyes softened when she spoke of it, the hard edge of the business fading into something warmer, fiercer, more alive. Vinny watched her across the plastic table, the string lights catching in her dark hair, the way she moved her hands when she talked, like the whole city moved with her. He felt it then, deep in his chest, the slow, unstoppable pull, the way her laugh cut through the funk bass, the way she looked at him like he was already part of this world, not some outsider hiding out. He was falling, and for the first time in his life, he didn't want to stop. Sunday, feijoada. Family and roots. Sunday morning, Graciela's kitchen smelled of black beans, slow-cooked with smoked meats, garlic and bay leaves. The whole family gathered at Antonio's house, cousins, uncles, a few trusted port captains. Long tables spilled onto the balcony. Vinny sat between Paula and Antonio, while huge pots of feijoada were ladled out with farofa and couve mineira. In English, that is some kind of sandy yuca crumbs and collard greens. Antonio raised a glass of cachaca. To Vinny Santos, home where he belongs. Everyone cheered. Paula's knee pressed lightly against his under the table. Later, as they cleared plates, she pulled him aside on the balcony. "You're doing good, Vinny. Better than good." Her fingers brushed his. For a moment the favela noise faded, and there was only the two of them and the warm Brazilian sun. The run-in. A new sheriff in town. Midweek, routine set. Dawn port office, afternoon business rounds, evenings with Paula learning the streets. One humid Thursday night, Vinny and Paula walked the lower favela alleys after closing a small bar they supplied. 3 young guys in hoodies stepped out of the shadows, blocking the path. "Hey, gringo. Nice watch. Santos family don't own these steps tonight." One flicked open a knife. Vinny felt the old New York instincts rise, but calmer now, backed by blood. He stepped forward, voice low and steady, and using the best Portuguese he knew. "You're right, they don't. I do." He pulled the heavy Santos ring Antonio had given him that morning, gold with the old port anchor crest, and let the streetlight catch it. "Tell your crew the Santos name is back. We don't charge for protection. We give it. And we don't tolerate outsiders shaking down our people. Agora, you suo novo chefe." Paula stood tall beside him, phone already out, thumb hovering over a speed dial that everyone in the favela knew ended with armed men in black SUVs. The knife disappeared. The trio backed away mumbling apologies. One even nodded respect before vanishing into an alley. Paula's smile was proud. "You're gonna do just fine here, Vinny." The right-hand man. Thoughts turned north. Back in the penthouse that night, Vinny stood alone on the wide balcony, the wooden elephant turning slowly between his fingers. The city lights sprawled below like scattered jewels. Port cranes still moving in slow arcs under floodlights, the distant thump of funk fading into the humid dark. The life unfolding around him was good. Too good. The kind of good that made a man paranoid if he tried to hold it all by himself. He needed someone at his back. Someone loyal, sharp-eyed, who already knew how New York crews thought, how they moved, how they smelled trouble before it knocked. Eli. The kid who'd once slipped through a broken window to rob Jake's place and ended up family instead. Eli, whose mother was Brazilian. Papers would be cleaner, faster. Antonio's people could make it happen without red flags. Vinny set the elephant on the railing, picked up the secure satellite phone Antonio had left on the glass table, and dialed. Ed answered on the second ring. "Vinny, or should I say Director Santos now? You sound settled." "Getting there," Vinny said, leaning on the railing. "First, how's the restaurant? Still standing?" Ed chuckled, the sound tinny over the line. "Adriana's running it like she owns the deed. Lunch rush yesterday hit record numbers. People asking where the hell you went. I told them, family emergency in Brazil. They bought it. Profits are steady, maybe up a hair. Dante's been by twice, sniffing, but he's keeping distance. Gino's handling the weekly envelope like clockwork. They have not pressed about you yet, but it's coming." "So, no heat yet? Good," Vinny said. "Place is fine. Your baby's in good hands." Vinny exhaled, tension he hadn't realized he was carrying easing a fraction. "Good, that's good. Listen, I need another favor. Get Eli to your office tomorrow, early. I want to talk to him, face to face on the line." Ed paused. "The kid? What's the play?" "I want him down here. Real work. He's family. He's sharp, loyal, and he already knows my back. I need that here." "Copy that. I'll have him here by 9. You want me to prep him?" "No. Just get him there. I'll handle the rest." They hung up. Vinny stared at the phone a moment, then scrolled to Paula's number. She answered almost instantly. "Vinny? Everything okay?" "Yeah, just thinking. I've got an idea. The kid from New York, Eli, the one I told you about. He's family to me. His mom's Brazilian. I want to bring him down. And his mother if she wants. Give him a place here. Train him up. He'd watch my back like nobody else could." Paula's voice softened. "You miss him?" "More than that. I trust him. And I don't trust easy." "One moment," Paula says. She sat the phone down. Footsteps echoed faintly. Her moving to another room. A door clicking shut behind her. The line went quiet except for the distant hum of the TV in Antonio's house. In the kitchen, Paula leaned against the counter. Antonio looked up from his coffee, eyebrows raised. "Pai," she said quietly in Portuguese. "Vinny wants to bring the boy, Eli, and his mother here." Antonio set his cup down slowly. "Why?" "He says the kid is like family to him. Loyal, sharp, knows how the New York crews think, how they move. Vinny doesn't trust Easy, but he trusts this boy. Wants him here to guard his six while he learns the ropes. Pie, he misses the boy. Antonio rubbed his chin, staring at the dark window. And the mother comes too? Not right away, Eli first. Vinny says he doesn't want the kid left behind when the old heat eventually circles back north. Antonio exhaled through his nose, a long, thoughtful sound. Well, you know Vinny is the boss now? Paula gave a small nod, even though he couldn't see it. Sim. Pie. I know. But he doesn't understand it fully yet. His position. We work for him, Paula. We guide him. We won't let him do anything estupido. But if he wants it... Antonio spread his hands. He is the boss. Paula smiled faintly. To bomb, Pie, Paula murmured. Put him back on, Antonio said. Paula grabbed the phone, her voice returning to the line smooth and warm. Vinny? Pie's here. There was a rustle on her end. Then Antonio's deeper voice came on speaker. Vinny. Tudo bem. So you missing the boy? We have a word for this in Portuguese that you don't have in English. Saudades. Vinny laughed once, short. Partly, but mostly because he's proven. He's street smart, quick, loyal, and he is my friend, my family. I need him here. Antonio was quiet a beat. Then, a right hand. Good. Okay, Vinny. You make the call, Vinny. We'll set it up. Tell Ed to expect my call tomorrow. We'll work out the details. Passport, ticket, clean entry. No problem. Obrigado, Antonio. De nada, irmão. Sleep. Tomorrow's another long day. Vinny ended the call. The night air was warm, salted with ocean. Somewhere far below, a motorcycle revved, then faded. He slipped the wooden elephant back into his pocket, turned, and walked inside. The penthouse lights were low, the city humming softly beyond the glass. Tomorrow he'd talk to Eli. Tomorrow the pieces would start locking tighter. For the first time since he'd stepped off the plane, Vinny Santos didn't feel like a man running. He felt like a man building something amazing. End of chapter 4.